Guinea-nomics, when a guinea pig talks to you about economics.
Hi there, I'm a guinea pig. I get spooked by a lot of things, but math is not one of them. My friend Rosie has been talking a lot about economic terms like utility. I'm going to help show you the math that goes with them. Math is an integral part of economics. It's actually a lot easier to understand economic concepts if you understand the math that goes with them. Take, for example, graphs. Graphs make everything better. They are so simple to look at. There's no unnecessary words, there's no unnecessary pictures, there's just labels and lines and curves, and they are beautiful. I know not everybody thinks they're beautiful, but doesn't everybody agree they're useful? If I want to know what time the store opens, I just need a handy graph that covers each day of the week, and my eye can go right to the exact spot that has the information I need. Look at how much better this is than that. There's so many words there. Why would I want that many words? Which ones do I need? Why are they in that order? They should be laid out on a grid. Grids are fantastic. I just like to have predictability and stability in my world and precision. Math is great for precision. But I was saying, economics uses a lot of graphs, and some of the first graphs we are going to look at have to do with utility. Utility is a fuzzy little concept that doesn't lend itself very well to mathematical analysis. Rosie sort of touched on that in the diminishing marginal utility video, but she left out a little thing called Utils, so I'm going to explain them here. Utils are the way we get utility onto a graph. They are the unit of measurement for utility, but they are not a standard unit like inches or grams. They are an arbitrary unit that economists just sort of invented because they needed to. Let's talk about how we measure things. If I told you my cage is 4 by 2, you might think, wow, that's really tiny. 4 inches by 2 inches is too small for a guinea pig. Or you might think, that's ridiculous. 4 kilometers by 2 kilometers is way too big. The only thing you know for sure is that one side of my cage is exactly 2 times longer than the other side of my cage. We know that because whatever units we are using to describe my cage, it is 4 of them in one direction and 2 of them in the other. The most important thing about units is that they are all the same size. My cage is 4 panels by 2 panels. Each one of these panels swaps out for any other one of these panels. If we both buy our panels from the same place, we can compare cage sizes very easily. You might have a cage that is 4 by 3 or 3 by 2. I know immediately how that compares to my cage because we are using the same units. For someone who does not have guinea pigs, it may seem silly and unnecessarily confusing to talk about cage sizes in terms of these panels. Why don't we measure them in feet or meters like normal people? Well, because that's not how we build them. It makes our life easier to just refer to the actual building blocks we are using as our unit of measurement. That works as long as we are both using panels from the same company. If one of us is using a different set of panels, we cannot be sure they are the same size anymore. Now, my 4 by 2 cage is not at all the same size as your 4 by 2 cage. We are no longer using the same unit of measurement. We still know that for both of us, we have cages that are twice as long as they are wide. I don't need to know how long your panels are to know that 4 of them is twice as long as 2 of them, but I no longer know how your cage size compares to mine. And if we try to mix and match these 2 types of panels together to build one cage, things are not going to add up correctly. We can do the math concerning your panels, or we can do the math concerning my panels, but we cannot throw them all together in a pile and have anything meaningful come out of that. That's the situation we have with utility. I don't know how my utility compares to your utility, but if we each adopt our own individual units of measurement for our own subjective experience of utility, we can still say mathematically meaningful things about them. Take, for example, if I set my enjoyment of sitting quietly at one utility point, I can then compare whether different things give me more or less than one utility point, based on whether they give me more or less enjoyment than sitting quietly. I would say that eating one blueberry gives me about 5 utility points on that scale, and eating one sprig of parsley gives me about 12 utility points on that scale. I can come up with a rating system of how much utility I get from different things based on this unit. But instead of saying utility points, economists typically call this type of unit a util. It's just easier to say. They chopped off the last 3 syllables to make it shorter. The important thing to remember about utils is that they are only valid for one person at a time. We can look at the utils one person gets from different things. We can add and subtract and multiply and divide these utils if we are sticking with that same one person. But just like the guinea pig cage panels, we cannot mix and match one person's utils with somebody else's utils. We won't get anything meaningful out of that. We can overcome our measurement problem with the cage panels by using a ruler to determine that these white ones are 14 inches across and these black ones are 11.5 inches across. Now we can set up a unit conversion rate and get back to some meaningful math. But that's because we have a ruler that can take an objective measurement of length. Physical dimensions like length, width, and height are part of our shared external reality. As long as we are all using accurate measuring sticks, Whichever unit we are using will add up just fine. A meter here is a meter there, and both of them are always equal to 3.28084 feet. But that's not the case with utility. We don't have an objective measuring stick for utility. Utility is a subjective experience. Rosie talked a lot about that in her videos. We infer that people experience utility based on their behaviors, but we cannot directly measure it. And when it comes to something like sitting quietly, how can I be sure that my enjoyment is equal to your enjoyment? I don't know. It's probably different. Maybe not all that different. It's not something we can really answer. That's why we never compare one person's utils to somebody else's utils. We can only compare how one person's utils change when they face different scenarios. That's exactly what we're going to do in the next economic math video. We will use utils to analyze whether two people will decide to engage in a trade. It involves analyzing two sets of utils. It'll make more sense when we get to that video. I'll see you there. Thanks for coming. Goodbye for now. Oh, that was a lot of talking.